Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/infidelity, where we have two stories that prove open relationships are just a way to destroy your family. Let's begin. I'm married with my wife for more than a decade with 2 kids. Caught her having an affair that predates the marriage, looking for ways to rebuild. Posted by Reddit user Lumpy Preference.
Long story short, I discovered that my wife of more than a decade has been having an affair that predates our marriage. Affair both sexually and psychologically. Have confronted with my inklings a few times in the past, which all was denied. But only very recently I managed to obtain concrete evidence, chats and pics of the affair. As you can see, my trust in her is now out to the trash bin. All those past excuses of interstate travel and late work nights were lies. The wife, the cheater, now shows remorse. Not sure if that's an act though, but let's assume it's genuine. But we both know our kids' well-being are at stake too. At the end of many conversations, she said she now has decided to choose me and drop the affair. Now I am pretty clear about the divorce option and all the stuff and mess, especially the kids, we will need to go through. What I don't know is that, should I go with the stick together and rebuild this marriage option? What kind of advice would you give? Any success stories at all? It's been 2 weeks so far. After I calmed down, I asked her how she wanted to spend her life for the next 40-odd years, to highlight that we are about halfway through life before we all eventually dying. This is from a viewpoint that I don't want both of us to be wasting our time living the life that we don't want. At this stage, she wanted to stick together and for us to work towards reconciliation. We then started having daily heart-to-heart talk and things are looking good, but I hope this is not just a honeymoon phase. For now I am just playing along. 2. She booked a therapist on her own initiative because I did say I am still half trusting her after her ability to convincingly kept the lie of the affair. If something can be done to break the habit, to escape to another man whenever I cannot fill her needs. 3. Marriage counselor booked, her own initiative too. Again I play along. Will be good to see some points validated from a third party. Thank you all, have a great day.
OP, you cannot reconcile with this woman. I mean, who do you want to reconcile with in the first place? The woman that has never been faithful to you? The woman that has always lied to you and has been betraying you every single day for the last 10 years? Look, OP, lying to you is a part of her daily life. It is as normal as breathing for her. Also, don't stay with her for the kids. That's a dumb idea. I guarantee you that this will not work because the worry for the kids is one-sided and only comes from you. She knew exactly what would happen, how you and the kids would get hurt when she gets caught, but she still made the conscious decision to continue her affair. Have some self-respect, man. At least set a good example for your kids. Their mother obviously can't fulfill that role. Lastly, get them DNA tested. I'm pretty sure at least one of them is not yours. And now for today's second story. I recently caught my wife cheating. Posted by Reddit user No Information.
I'm here looking for some advice. I don't really have anyone to look to and I just want to know how to move forward. I've been with my wife for 10 years. Married for 3. We have 3 daughters. She's a stay-at-home mom and I work full-time. She's going back to school next week to finish her drafting degree. I'm 30 and she's 33. We own our house and have a good marriage. We do have a lot of financial issues with one income. We've never had problems with infidelity before. About 9 days ago, the night of the 10th, we were in bed and she asked me if we could talk. She asked me about bringing others into the bedroom. We've talked about it before, but she decided it's something she really wanted to try. I'm open to experimenting and told her we could, if it's the right person and the right time.
By the end of this, you are going to be crying like a little bitch.
She then brought up my close friend we can call Jake. Jake has an open relationship with his wife and talks openly about group sex. It caught me a little off guard because me and him have been close friends for 15 plus years. We played in a band together in college. I told her that him being so close to us might be complicated, but she persisted that it could be okay. We dirty talked a bit about fooling around with another girl and then had sex. She got in the shower right after and I had some feelings she had been talking to Jake about a threesome without coming to me. So I looked in her phone. I know it's an invasion of privacy, but we don't lock our phones and have never had a closed-off policy about it. I noticed she had a muted conversation with Jake. There were a lot of missing bits in the convo, so I thought all that was strange. We then went to bed. After she fell asleep, I checked again to try to dispel my paranoia. I was going to tell her the next day I went through her phone and apologize. But then I found a deleted conversation she had not cleared from the deleted folder. I restored it and found about 60 messages between her and Jake. Texts from the 8th. They started by talking about him and his wife's relationship. She then asked him if he ever thought about sleeping with her. He said yes. She said she had as well. They talked about how they were both aroused, flirted about touching each other. It escalated to talking about meeting up and having sex. It was fairly graphic. I have screenshots of much of the convo I sent from her phone to mine. He was much more aggressive than she was, but she did reciprocate and dirty talk back. They ended it by talking about her coming over the next day to hang out and smoke some weed. The times are while I was at work and the girls were at school. Text from the 9th. She asks Jake what time she should come over after she drops the girls off at school and I go to work. He texts back and says whenever. She texts again after getting to his house about 30 minutes later to let him know she's there. Later that night she texts him that they need to never talk about it again and he needs to keep it to himself. She says she feels terrible for what happened, and he assures her it's okay and that they can keep it a secret. She says it was just about wanting to adventure sexually but she went too far. The next night, the 10th, is when I find them. I woke her up and confronted her about it. She breaks down and admits to everything. While at his house they talked for a little while about what group sex is like. They kissed and he took off her shorts and underwear off and went down on her. He then took his pants off and she touched him. She bent over but began to cry. They stopped and held her for a little bit and they got dressed. So after all this I ask her how she can do this, and she cries and says she's sorry, and that she made a mistake, and was going to tell me everything the next day. I left and stayed at my friend's for a few days and her mother drove 4 hours to stay with her and help with the kids. I came back 3 days ago after her mom had to leave. She says that it happened because she had a very high libido after a long period of low libido because of her medication and the lack of autonomy from raising kids at home for years. That she was just very sexually curious about involving other partners and it led to receiving attention from another person. So, I want to forgive her and move on. I still love her and my family. I want to keep what we've had. We plan to do therapy.
That's stupid! You're stupid! Stop being stupid!
I want to ask anyone who's been in a similar situation what they have done to forgive, and what each of us could do. I want to trust her again. Edit. Just some things I wanted to clarify for y'all, but first, thank you for all the input. It's giving me a lot to think about. I contacted Jake the next day and asked what happened. He said he had nothing to lose because he knew our friendship was over. He basically told me the same story she told but said that nothing oral happened. I contacted his wife next, and she said he admitted to everything and she also read the text messages. She told the same story. She said that even though they had an open relationship, that this still broke her trust, and they are separating. I choose to believe that she didn't have sex with him because I got it from the 3 sources separately and got basically the same story. It doesn't make it much better, but I wanted to clear that bit up. Both of our families and friends know about the whole thing. I told him and his wife that they aren't to contact me or my family again. They both agreed.
Wow, like a bitch.
And that's what Frieza said.
My goodness me, you are just as dumb as the first OP, my god! Look man, even Jake's wife knew that there was no saving their marriage after everything that happened. And they already have a degenerate relationship to begin with. But you, OP, you have an exclusive marriage with your wife, but she decided to be a hoe. And you're convinced that staying together will be for the best? Are you serious? She didn't make a mistake, man. All of it was planned, you damn donut. And believe me, this is not the first time she did this. Get your daughter's DNA tested. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.